Welcome, everyone. This is the Communication Strategies in the Online Environment webinar. My name is Rosalia DiNardo, and I am the Assistant Director in the e-learning division here. And I believe that everybody in attendance knows me. So let's go ahead and get started. So I just want to make sure that you can hear me. For those that can't, obviously, they can read the screen and see what they need to do. For those that can hear me, you might want to read the screen also in case you ever have this problem in a future webinar. It might help you. So as you can see, we have a full agenda for today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the evolution of communication. Then we're going to go into retention and success in online classes, building a rapport, creating an instructor's social presence, and engaging learners. Then we're going to delve into how to communicate with our students outside the LMS and within the LMS. Now, as I go through these things, it's not a step-by-step instruction of where to click and how to do this. I do have screenshots to show you what it looks like and where to find the information. If you have trouble on your own finding and locating how to do these particular things, we can always set up a one-on-one session and go through it together. Then I want to hear from you. I want to hear what communication strategy works best for you in your online classes. And then I just have some housekeeping items about the e-learning division, what we can do for you, support options, meeting the team, and the upcoming professional development that we have for the rest of the year and into the new year. So let's go ahead and get started about the way we communicate and how it has evolved. So I like this graphic just because, I thought it was interesting to see some of the different modes of communication and how they have evolved. It does not, of course, encompass everything, especially communication in regards to teaching. But I also do like that it has future modes of communication as the 3D hologram and the telepathy for future. And as you can see, it has already classified the mobile phone as a former mode of communication, which I thought was interesting. But not only has communication technology changed, but the way that we teach our students has obviously changed with the evolution of when we had the telecourses, and then, of course, when we had the hybrid and online courses, and then, we had, well, we didn't have it here, but MOOCs became popular for an amount of time. So things have certainly changed and evolved. And with that, so do we have to change and evolve so that we can better communicate with our students and engage them and motivate them. So let's talk a little bit about retention and success and why it's so important and the things that determine retention and success in online classes. So one of the statistics that I found was very interesting was that 1/3 of higher education students take at least one online course. Now, back in the fall of 2014, that meant that 5.2 million students were enrolled in at least one online course, and then another 2.2 million were fully immersed in online education. Now, despite the decreased enrollments that we've been experiencing the last few years, the demand in higher education for online has continued to grow. Students are demanding it, especially after the pandemic, and having transferred so many face-to-face classes to the online modality, students can see that it is possible in many of the programs that courses can be offered in the online format. That's, I'm not saying that every class is suited online. I think all classes can have a hybrid or a high flex component, but a majority of classes can be offered for the students online, and they have really demanded that because it creates a greater access, because it reduces the barriers of time and place for them. But with that, it changes the ability of the students and the instructors to interact with that face-to-face communication, because most of what is being done in the online environment is text-based communication, which lacks the verbal and nonverbal cues. Now, there has not been a systematic national study on online attrition rates, but there have been single campus studies that have shown that the retention rates are 10 to 35% lower online than versus in-person retention rates. So increasing those rates, decreasing the rates of students dropping out, online education is critical to the long-term strategic plan of colleges. Now, some of the factors that determine retention and success, the first two we can't control, which is student characteristics and environmental factors that students experience. Those things are beyond our control. What we can control, and what we will be discussing in this presentation, is your course design. And a lot of people don't look at course design as a communication, but it really is, because what you put in your course and the structure in which you design it really is a mode of communication in and of itself. So that is very important in this topic. And as we talk about the instructor and student interactions, which is crucial in communication, course design is going to play into that a lot. Some of the best practices for retention and success are encouraging student integration and engagement, developing a learner-centered approach, and building learning communities. And another key factor, and this is something that also is out of your control, but providing online student services. And we do have some online student services available at Camden County College, and providing that information, which we'll talk about later when we talk about the orientation module, providing links to those online student services can actually help the students and help the retention effort as well. So one of the important factors of communication is building a rapport with our students. And the first two quotes I found very interesting, and they are from the 80s, and written more for face-to-face classes. However, I do feel that it does pertain to the online environment as well. So in 1986, Carey, Hamilton, and Shanklin wrote that a high rapport relationship is one of mutual understanding and satisfactory communication. And then in 1988, Bernier took that a step further and defined classroom rapport as a harmonious interaction between faculty and students. Problems are resolved amicably, ideas are exchanged respectfully, and discussions are carried out professionally. So what does that mean for you? How does building a rapport transfer from face-to-face classes to online classes? So unfortunately, a lot of that responsibility falls onto the instructor. And yes, students do have to take responsibility for the time and the effort that they put into each class, but getting those initial reactions from the student and getting them to interact not only with yourself, but with other students really falls into how you design the course and how you facilitate the course. It's about building a sense of presence. It's about getting students to participate in the virtual classroom, and it's about humanizing the online environment so that students feel less isolated. When we do these things, it promotes student learning and motivation. It creates a deeper connection to not only the people in the class, but to the course material itself, and it increases retention and success. So online classes have required students to have increased self-direction and independent learning skills, which we all know are key components for success. But there's a lot of misconception that this equates to students self-teaching in these courses, and that courses are designed as a set it and forget it. And we know that that's not true. You can't just, I mean, people do it in, in institutions where they create the course and they just replicate it from semester to semester, and things auto grade, and there's no social presence or facilitation going on. And then students really do have to self-teach themselves. But that's not, what we try to do here at Camden County College. And looking at the people that are online attending this presentation, I know that you are all very motivated to participate and engage with your students. And you're here because you want to see how you can take that to the next level. So it is important to create a sense of social presence in your online class. This is really the most important factor in building relationships, fostering learning, and increasing retention. Students drop courses online for various reasons, but one of the primary reasons is because they feel isolated because of that lack of interaction with others. And of course, some of that is their responsibility, like I said in the previous slide, but some of it is how the course is designed, and how, if there are, intentional assignments and discussions that allow for peer-to-peer interaction and faculty to student interaction. Now, one thing that I found very interesting, and this was a study that I read several years ago, and unfortunately it's not on my reference list because I cannot recall who the author of this study was, but in it, it said that one video from the instructor can increase retention by 11%. So that means that you could do an introduction video of yourself, and you could possibly retain students, 11% of your students. And I think that that is amazing. So asynchronous video technology is really a key component in the online environment. And it's something that you're going to see coming up as we go through communicating within the LMS. A lot of text-based communications don't convey verbal and nonverbal cues, and that's what we're using most in our online classes is text-based communications. But we're going to talk a lot about asynchronous video technology and how it allows faculty to better express themselves and where in your course you can utilize that. So instructor to student social interactions fosters a sense of classroom community. It creates an atmosphere of open communication and group cohesion. It allows for effective expression and improves student engagement while decreasing attrition. And again, when we go through the different modes of communication, you're going to see where you can find these different types of interactions. So instructors do have a responsibility for promoting student-to-student interactions by influencing participation. So if you don't use discussion boards, that's the primary peer-to-peer interaction. So discussion boards are crucial in the design of an online environment because it's really one of the only forms other than inbox communications or maybe peer review assignments in which students get to actually speak with one another. Social presence can be established before the course. Maybe you do a welcome letter that you send out to your students or a welcome video. During the course by how you design the course and facilitate it, and at the end of the course. And when we say at the end of the course, we're talking about 2 to 3 weeks prior to the end date. And that could be, final feedback on how they did in the class, maybe preparing them for the next level of the class, maybe a debriefing of some sort. One of the things that we don't see a lot in online courses that we used to see in face-to-face courses is one-on-one meetings with the students as like progress reports. for, mid-semester, where we would do midterm grades, and we would meet with with students one-on-one and let them know how they're doing, and let them know how they can take their grade to the next level, what they need to do, or if they are at a good level, what they need to do to maintain that level. And that's something that we don't do anymore that could be helpful in creating that social presence. Along with creating a social presence is also engaging learners. So this helps reduce attrition rates because students feel connected. They feel connected to the instructor, to their peers, to the material that you're teaching. It decreases the feelings of isolation, which so often occurs in the online environment. And it creates a shared goal for learning. Students can get excited about the subject matter that you're trying to teach them when they feel engaged. So factors for promoting student engagement from the instructive perspective is, again, course design and facilitation. So some tips for engaging learners, and this really, a lot of these kind of fall within the discussion area, but they can be about other tasks and other areas of the course design as well, is to be aware of the diversity of your learners. Be prepared for sensitive topics. Be prepared that you're going to get different perspectives from students. Setting boundaries and conditions, not only on discussion boards, but on how the students interact with you. Maybe, I tell my students, don't send me a message and chat with me like I'm your friend that you are texting. I want a professional communication, and I outline that in my syllabus. And we'll talk more about boundaries and conditions later on. You want to ensure that discussions provide an additional learning goal. A lot of times students feel that discussions are busy work, that they're there because, they have to be. So making the discussions, making them realize the purpose of that discussion, maybe even putting the purpose of this discussion is to, and then explain it so that they understand that this isn't just a busy conversation, that it's just not, oh, I have to do my initial post and respond to 2 people. They have to understand why they're doing it. You want to design tasks or lead-ins that encourage participation. So maybe in the discussion board, you want to ask questions. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to address who I'm asking the question to. Is it the particular student that I'm replying to? Or do I address it to the entire class, that question, and then facilitate the conversation that way? You want to ensure continuity of discussions when you participate. Again, asking questions, getting students to continue with the conversation. And you want to provide a balanced instructor presence in the discussions. You don't want to dominate the discussion, maybe not responding to every single student, but you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the discussions. You are chiming in when you see something that's not quite right. Maybe a student is relaying incorrect information to another student or to the entire class, or you want to provide information, but you don't want to dominate the course discussion, because the course discussion is really for peer-to-peer, but you have to have some kind of involvement in it. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started by talking about communication outside of the LMS. And this is actually a pretty brief section. One of the first communications we are going to talk about is the phone. And yes, that is an old avocado green rotary phone that you are seeing on your screen. Not a lot of people call their students anymore. We tend to do text-based communication, as I said earlier. But one thing to keep in mind, if you do put contact information in your syllabus, if you do call your students, is that you want to use your CCC phone number and email only. If you have a direct extension, you can give them that extension on your syllabus, or you can use your department secretary's extension if they need to get a message to you. We discourage the distribution of personal numbers by faculty. This presents boundary issues. Students might excessively call a professor. They might call at inappropriate hours. So we try to discourage giving out personal cell phone and landline numbers. But if you do want to call from your landline or your cell phone, we do encourage you to block your number. And you can do that by pressing on *67 and then entering the phone number that you want to call, and that includes the area code. Usually, if I am going to call a student, if we arrange a phone call via email, I do let the student know that my number will be blocked so that they know to answer the call at that particular time. If you are calling the student and they're not expecting you, it would be a good idea to call from a line at Camden County College so that they get that phone number. CCC email and self-service. So everyone gets an individual college issued email, students and faculty. It is the preferred email for your contact information. While some people do use their personal emails, especially students, when somebody contacts us, we always ask them to resend the message via their college email because we want to make sure it's just a way of verifying they are who they say they are. And you can access your email off campus, of course, and you can link to it from the faculty and staff section of our webpage. So you can send class emails through self-service. Not a lot of people are aware of this. If you go to the self-service icon on the MyCC portal and choose faculty, your courses that you're teaching will show up. You click on the particular course that you want to email and click the email all button that appears on the top right of the screen. Unfortunately, you do have to email one section at a time if you are teaching multiple sections. Now, in that class roster that you see on self-service, there are student profiles. And if you scroll over a student's name and click View Profile, their information comes up as far as their college email, if you wanted to email them individually, all the personal emails that they've used. It will tell you, what email they used to fill out for their financial aid, what email that they put on their registration form. So if you need to try and contact them, maybe they're not responding to the college email, you could try one of those emails, and it will also show whatever phone numbers they provided for the college. Then there is Zoom. Zoom is the preferred live conferencing tool for Camden County College. We say that because within Canvas, there is a tool called Big Blue Button. And Big Blue Button, while it is in Canvas and easy to use, it does have limitations that Zoom does not. So for example, you can record your Zoom sessions and save them for however long you would like. In Big Blue Button, they're only saved for 7 days. So again, there are limitations, and so we do prefer Zoom for the conferencing tool. If you do not have a Camden County issued Zoom account, you can send us an email at the e-learning division, and at the end of the presentation, we'll give out all that contact information. So Zoom is synchronous meetings where you set the days and times. Now, generally, if you were to hold a Zoom meeting for class, it's a non-mandatory session because that kind of defeats the purpose of an online class to require students to be there on a particular day or time. Now, that being said, you could create a doodle poll, ask students the best day and time to meet to get the most amount of students on there. You might want to use Zoom to explain concepts further, do exam reviews, and you can record those sessions, which you can host on Zoom and link into your Canvas shell so that the students who could not attend can then view it. And there are directions in the Canvas Faculty Hub. I believe there is a section called Interactive Tools, and you can see how to do that. The reason why we host it through YouTube, for those that are not aware, is to save space in Canvas so that you can, so that you don't run out of space, because unfortunately we cannot extend your capacity. In Zoom, you can also do office hours. You can set a day and time. You can notify the students in your syllabus that you will be doing this. You could create an announcement or a page with the link, and that way students can join when you are available. You don't have to record the office hour sessions because sometimes nobody shows up. Sometimes one or two people show up. It's really a hit or miss situation, really. You could actually do one-on-one meetings with students via Zoom. So you could create a Zoom meeting and just invite that one particular student. So that is, that's better than an email back and forth, and sometimes even better than a phone call because you could see each other. You can, talk more freely. You can share a screen if you need to. You can use it to create asynchronous instructional videos. So these would be pre-recorded tutorials for students to view. And again, you would host them on YouTube and link them to your Canvas shell. So next, and our longest part of the presentation, is communicating within the LMS. And we're going to start with what is really the most important is the orientation module and the syllabus. And again, a lot of times people don't realize when they think of communication, they think of the inbox, they think of the discussion boards, but there really are more modes to communicate within the learning management system. And here on the screen, we're going to do orientation module and syllabus, inbox, announcements, discussion boards, your directions for all tasks, annotations and submission comments, quizzes and tests, and the grades tab. Those are all ways that you can communicate within the LMS with your students, either individually or as a class. So let's get started. So the syllabus or first day handout is required for all credit classes. We turn them into our department chairs so that they have a copy of our classroom policies. It's generally the first mode of communication. And I say generally because some people do send out a welcome email in advance of the class being published. But generally, whether it's a face-to-face, hybrid, online, HiFlex mode of course, the syllabus, the first day handout, is the first thing that students get. And what it does is it sets the tone for the course and it outlines your classroom policies. And again, there are 4 modalities that we have here at Camden County College. So that outline of classroom policies is going to vary depending on the type of class you teach. And it is important not to use the same syllabus if you are teaching a different modality. It's important to tailor those policies to that particular modality that you are teaching. So what's the importance of the orientation module as opposed to just having a syllabus and posting it online? Well, in my opinion, the orientation module takes your syllabus to the next level. You still have to upload a syllabus into the orientation module, but that syllabus will be a little slimmed down because what you can do is you can use pages, links, files, discussion boards, and quizzes to break down information that you would generally put in your syllabus and make it more predominant in the orientation module. So what this does is it actually makes it easier for students to see. A lot of times they don't read the syllabus, or they read part of it, or when they need to find out what a certain policy is, they're flipping through and they can't find it and they just end up, sending you a message. Breaking down the orientation module actually makes these things more visible to students, and they're like, oh, here's a link about online college resources. Here's something for tutoring, the library, and we're going to talk more about what you can include in this module. Now, we all know that we have to send a copy of the syllabus to the department chair. So what I do and what I recommend to people who do the orientation module is to attach the syllabus to your email to the department chair and then include a screenshot of the orientation module so they can see the other items that were covered. And of course, if they have any questions, they can contact you further. So what you see here on the screen now is just some suggestions of things that you could put in your orientation module. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless, and I couldn't possibly put them all on here because depending on your subject matter, there might be some other important information that I would not be aware of that would be appropriate for the orientation module. Here are some of the things that I do in my orientation module. So I put a link to the Canvas students video tutorial that Ginny has prepared. It is sent to the students as a course announcement, but you can link the YouTube video in your course and you could put it on there and you can make it an optional video for students to view. Then there is the slimmed down syllabus, a video greeting, pages with links to the student handbook to certain policies such as academic honesty, a page with the first day textbook program. So the bookstore sends out information for faculty and students. This is a good place to reiterate that information for the students as far as how to access the first day book and who to call for technical support if there should be a problem. Then a really important thing, and something that I prefer to do in the orientation module as opposed to the syllabus, is links to college resources, especially online college resources. Because what happens is in my syllabus, I used to have a paragraph for each of these sessions or each of these resources. And then I was constantly rewriting them, having to update them, where when you link it to the college resource page, all the information is right there. So if somebody wants to find out about tutoring or the library, computer labs, or disability services, they could just click the link from your orientation module, and there they're getting the most up-to-date information from the source. I like to do a virtual cafe that is open throughout the semester. Students can have side conversations. They can ask for clarification on policies or assignments. You could do a get to know you discussion board or a self-evaluation assignment. That is one thing that I like to do. I like to get a baseline for how the students feel about the class, what experience they have. You could do a syllabus quiz to make sure that they've read over your syllabus or the materials in the orientation session. You could do it in acknowledgement of the orientation materials. So what that is that's like a quiz with one question where the students say that they have acknowledged that they have read the materials and understand them. And finally, we have a library card assignment, which I like to do because library cards are required for the task that they have to do in my class. And the students have to let me know if they have a current library card or if they've renewed it, or what they are going to do to get a current library card. And again, these are just ideas. You don't have to do them. You could do different ideas, but this is just to give you some sense of what an orientation module can look like. The next mode of communication, and one of the most popular as far as when people think about communication, is the inbox. So the inbox is different from your CCC email. It is an internal messaging tool within Canvas where you can message students individually or as an entire class, and you can message co-instructors if there are any in your course. So it functions like a regular email, except that you have to have the course published in order to contact anybody assigned to that course. Once the term date has ended, you can no longer contact anybody associated with the course, and you cannot make folders. Another interesting aspect of the inbox, though, is you can view submission comments. So where it says inbox at the top, if you notice, it's a drop-down box. That drop-down box allows you to click on it and click submission comments. And there you can see any comments that the students have made to reply to comment feedback that you have given them. And if you wanted to, you could adjust the settings to receive notifications through external channels. So you could receive an email to your personal email that maybe you get on your phone to let you know that you have so many messages or so many items to grade and so on. Announcements are a way to broadcast to the entire class. They appear on the dashboard, but they also stay in the announcement tab. So you want to make sure that that is visible. I personally think announcements are underutilized. I love the announcement section because you could delay posting. So what I do before the start of my class, I put in all of my announcements and when I want the students to see them, and I do it all at the beginning of the semester so that I don't forget to do an announcement. So a lot of people don't realize, though, that you have a variety of communication options when it comes to sending an announcement. You could simply type in the message text box. You can add an attachment, or you can record or upload audio and video. So there is an option where you could, if you already had a video that you made, say you made a video on Zoom and you wanted to upload that, you can upload to the assignment, or to the announcement. Or if you wanted to, you could record just audio, or if you wanted the students to see you, you could record video. It's very easy to do. You click on the record audio option. It gives you the option to turn off your webcam if you only want to do audio. You click record, you do your thing, you stop recording, and it saves it. It's very simple. So why would you use an announcement? Well, you could remind students of a project or a test. You could remind them of office hours. I also like to remind them of college deadlines, like when it's time to register, maybe what classes I'm teaching next semester, when they need to fill out for financial aid, when's the graduation deadline. Because a lot of times students who take fully online classes don't feel connected because they're not on campus to get that information. And sometimes teachers will be like, oh, by the way, in class, and give out that information, where online you don't have that option. So the announcements are a nice way to do that. And so what I do is I go to the college tab and I look at the key dates and I give the students that information in the announcements. Discussion boards. So I liked this little meme of the skeleton, me waiting for my classmates to post in the discussion board so I can submit my 2 mandatory comments. A lot of people think of discussion boards and they just dread them. They really do, because, you know, like I said earlier, a lot of students don't realize what the purpose of them are. So it's important to let them know that. But it's really the first thing that they think of when they think of an online class. So as you all know, discussion boards are public interaction, and it's interaction with you and the student because you pose the initial question and you facilitate, but it's also one of the few student to student interactions as well, where they post their response and respond to classmates. Now, there are settings that you can do to encourage early participation by not allowing students to see what everybody else posted until they answer and do their initial post. I find that students don't wait until the very end of the week then to post. They post earlier in the week, and I have found that it has created more discussion going through. You could do graded or non-graded discussion boards, and I know you're thinking non-graded, they're not going to participate. I do what I call guided practice discussion boards, and so that's kind of where we brainstorm an idea for an assignment before they actually turn in the assignment, so they know that they're on the right track. It would be as if I'm standing up at the whiteboard and I'm asking them to, you know, give me their ideas, let's flesh it out, and it's just that we're not doing it synchronously. So in discussion boards, just like in the announcements, you can use the text box and you can record audio and video. So you could yourself record a video just to let the students know your thoughts on this discussion board. You could, instead of asking the students to type their message or their responses, you can ask them to record audio and, you know, really enhance the discussion board. Directions for your tasks. A lot of times people don't realize that this is really an important mode of communication. And I'm not going to read the same thing, because as you can see, The first 3 items under each section, assignments, discussion boards, quiz, and tests, are the same. You want to be thorough and consistent. You want to name the task. You just don't want to put assignment 1, discussion board 1. You want to give it a name so students can really relate to it better. And you want to provide clear instructions. And this is really important in the discussion board when you tell the students that they have to put their initial reply to the question and how many students that they have to respond to. In all these situations, you want to outline your expectations. You want to let the students know what it is that you want them to do. So for assignments, you may provide a grade rubric or a sample submission. In discussion boards, you might want to tell them you have a word requirement or a paragraph requirement or citation requirement. You can also you can also give them a rubric for discussion boards as well that you can use for grading purposes. In quizzes and tests, you can let them know what material is being covered, the type of questions to expect. It's also very important if you're going to allow multiple attempts, how many attempts are you going to allow them, and what score is going to be the one that's chosen. In all of these options, you can do, again, the text box, an attachment, or a recording or an upload of an audio or video file. And yes, you can even do that in quizzes and tests. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Annotations are an important part of uploaded assignments. And when I say uploaded assignments, annotations are not available for text box submissions. So you cannot do this for discussion boards. You cannot do this for if you just have a small assignment that they type in the text box. But if you are doing a research paper, an outline, some type of large project, you want them to upload a file. And you could do free text annotations. You can highlight and strike out on the document. You can draw, which I am not good at all, but if you are, go for it. And you could do area annotations where you can create a text box somewhere on the document and you can type in text. So users can respond to your annotations via the submission comment section. And that's actually what we're going to talk about next. This is actually a great way to have a conversation with your students. So this is what the submission section looks like. And submissions are available on all tasks, whether it's an assignment, a discussion board, or a quiz and test. In your speed grader, you can see these comments, or again, in your inbox where we talked about it. So as you can see, you have a text box and you could just simply type in that, or you can attach a file, but you can also make a media comment as well. And I actually find this very useful because sometimes when I'm writing a comment, if it's going to be too long, if I don't feel like I'm going to explain it as well in a typed message, sometimes I will just do a quick audio message to the student, letting them know my feedback and offering for them to discuss it further with me. Quizzes and tests. This is actually one of the least utilized functions that I found here at CCC. And the reason why is, and I understand it, it's really a daunting task to do this. But it can be worthwhile if you take the time to do it. You can add comments to all of the question types. And these comments can be, they can explain why the answer was correct, why the answer the student chose was incorrect, or you can make a general comment and let the students know that they should review a certain concept, or maybe letting them know what chapter and page to refer to explore this concept further. Now, I will say, I like the idea of adding these comments, but I do try and not, when I do it, I don't put the chapters or the page numbers in anymore, because what happens is the book changes edition, and then you have to go back and you have to re-find all that information and change the chapters and page numbers. So you might want to steer clear of that, or if you don't mind going back and changing it, you can add that in. And again, you do have the option when you are doing these comments for not only the text box and an attachment, but you can also record audio and video as well. So if you feel that you want to explain the concept, if they got the answer incorrect, or in the general comment section, you want to explain the concept a little further, you can do that as well. And finally, our last mode of communication, and one that I don't think a lot of people know about, is in the grades tab. You can access this information, what you see on the screen, via the grades tab. You can contact multiple students and we'll talk about why you might want to contact them. But you can, it says message students who, and when you click on that, it gives you different options of the type of students that you want to message based on their work. You can, if you wanted to contact a student individually, say you were looking at their grade book and you noticed something, what happens is, and I don't have a screenshot, but if you kind of scroll over the student's name, you can click on it and it brings up a student contacts card, and then it will allow you to email that student individually. And of course, as we've been discussing, you have all the modes of communication available when you're messaging students. So here is what it looks like when you click on message students who. You can message students who have not submitted an assignment yet, who have not been graded. Maybe you want to explain why it has not been graded yet, or maybe you've noticed something wrong within the submissions and you wanted to have students resubmit. If students scored less than a point value or scored more than a certain point value, you can message those students, and you don't have to determine who those students are. Once you click that option, it's going to tell you how many students fall into that range, and you can see the list of students that it's going to send to, and you can put in your message and it will send that to all of those students. Okay, I have talked a lot and we are running out of time, but I want to hear from you. So if you want to share a communication strategy that has worked for you, if you have any questions or comments, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you, or you can just type, I say on the next slide to type in the Q&A box, but I only see the chat panel. So you could go ahead and add that in now. While I'm waiting to see if anybody wants to participate, I am going to start going over housekeeping items while I wait to see if any questions, comments, or communication strategies come in. So this is what I call my odds and ends section. And so one of the things that I like to tell people is what we can do for you in e-learning. So we're here for a variety of things. You know, if you are using Canvas as a supplemental tool, we can help you fine tune that for your face-to-face class. If you are interested in creating a new course, we can help you create an online or hybrid course for a future semester, or we can help you tweak an existing course. Maybe you want to learn more about different functions. Maybe there was something that we went over today that you were like, oh, you know what, I didn't know that and I want to use that. You know, you can go ahead and we can meet, we can review your class and offer feedback. All right, so we have a question. Can I ask a question about the video recording and the announcements? I also your recording of my voice in the discussions for midterm to assist in pronunciation of terms. Midterm would be an excellent class to use the audio function in your courses. Absolutely. So whenever you see the text box, when you create an announcement, you have the rich content editor that has all of the tools available to you, and you can click on the record option. And then again, it will ask you, if you want to use the webcam or if you just want to do audio. So you can certainly do that for announcements. But absolutely, that would be, MedTerm is a perfect course for you to record the vocabulary. I remember I took a MedTerm class and I was awful at it because of that. If your webcam function does not work, are you saying that your webcam function doesn't work, or are you saying that asking if it doesn't work in announcements? I'm going to have to check that out because the webcam function should work in the announcements. So I will, tomorrow morning, I will check that out for you and see what's going on, because wherever there is the rich content editor for recording, it should definitely record. And I will send a message to the group. So while I'm waiting for more questions to come through or more communication strategies, let's talk about what support is available to you. So you can get support through your Canvas account. You can search the Canvas guides, which are very helpful. They have a lot of great videos in there. And I noticed that they keep them up to date. They are very good about that. You could call the support helpline. Or my personal favorite is the live chat. And yes, administrators do have to take support from Canvas. And I like the live chat option because I can multitask in between. And I get a copy of the transcript, which is very helpful, because if they provide links or a video in there, I have that to save for future use. The great thing about Canvas support is that they are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. The e-learning division, we have a shared email box, which is elearning@camdencc.edu. We also now have a shared division extension, which is 4220. The nice thing about that is it rings all of our phones at the same time. So unless we are in a meeting, somebody will pick up. Now, our availability is not quite the same as Canvas support. As you can see, we are here Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. And of course, we have summer hours. A lot of people think we're not here in the summer because faculty get, unless you're teaching, you are off for the summer, but we are here Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And here we are. So if you haven't actually come in and met us before, this is what we look like. And we do have our own email and extensions, which you are welcome to contact us. Again, the shared email and phone extension are the best way to get somebody right away, but you are certainly welcome to contact us individually. We have a lot of upcoming professional development. So starting next week, I am going to do a Canvas course evaluation series. So this is a little different than the Quality Matters series that I did, where this is actually an evaluation sheet that Canvas has come up with, and it's broken down into these 4 components, and we're going to kind of look at those components. So you could go back to your class and be like, that was interesting. I didn't realize I didn't have this, or maybe you look at it and you attend and you're like, man, I'm really on the ball. I got a lot of this stuff in my class already, so I'm doing pretty good. And then we have our engaging learners through Zoom session this month, as well as creating and increasing faculty-student engagement online. For those of you who are not using the Respondus Lockdown browser, on December 7th, you can find out more about the Lockdown browser and Monitor. They are 2 separate things because you can use it with or without a webcam, and how you can use that for your Canvas quizzes. In December, we have outcomes and assessments that focus on student learning. And yes, we're already thinking about spring, and in January we have learner-centered course design, and we do have more to come in spring of 2023, and we will be putting those announcements out shortly. And there are the references that I used for my presentation today. Again, this will be available through the Canvas Faculty Hub. I don't see any questions and I don't see any hands raised. So I am going to go ahead and just thank you for giving me an hour of your time this afternoon. And if you have any further questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me. If you want a copy of the slide deck, we can certainly post that in the hub as well, or I can send it to you individually. And enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you very much.